I'm gonna post some video here on the chat. Yeah. Well, today we're going to learn about transmissions. Coba ya, I'm gonna share screen. By the way, any questions for the homework or anything on the class so far?
Dari sesi nggak ada, Pak.
Pak, itu wear coefficient yang di PR itu udah dalam milimeter ya Pak jawabannya Pak? Karena kan kalau dilihat di tabelnya kan dia 10 pangkat min 20. Di PR itu Bapak tulis 10 pangkat min 14.
Unitnya apa?
Bapak nggak kasih unit sama sekali Pak, makanya itu yang bikin bingung.
Oh, damn. Oke.
Tapi kalau saya masukin paksa dapat dalam milimeter, jawabannya dapat masuk akal Pak.
Oke. Jadi, yeah, that might be a meters and millimeter thing.
Kelihatannya sih milimeter Pak, cuman ya mastiin aja Pak.
Ya, jadi Kak yang di ini apa? Kak yang di PowerPoint slide di table, sorry, yang official yang di table itu 10 pangkat min 20 ya?
Iya, yang punya Bapak min 14.
Dan itu unitnya apa?
Dia dalam meter pangkat 3 per meter nanti ada Pak. Makanya kalau menurut saya masuk akal dia milimeter. Karena pangkat atas 9 bawah pangkat 3.
Ya, correct. Ya. Ya, jadi let me open that again. Okay, let me share screen here. Plain bearings. Oke, nah di sini dimensionnya kan meter kubik ya. Meter kubik dibagi meter. Jadi dimensionnya K di sini itu meter kuadrat, ya kan? So, kalau dia milimeter, then it will be 10 to the negative 14. Di PR yang saya kasih, ini ya, that should be millimeters. Okay, sorry for not making that clear. Okay, today we want to talk about power transmissions. Now, let me change sharing. The reason we have power transmissions is that from the motor, it's a bit laggy here. I might need to close some of my window. Kalian kelihatannya apa? PowerPoint kan?
Iya, Pak.
Iya, Pak.
Iya, Pak.
PowerPoint lagi diedit, Pak.
Oke, jadi kalau kita ada motor, lalu we have belt drives to something else, right? Jadi ada dua puli seperti ini. Biasanya kan pulinya ukurannya beda ya. Kenapa ukurannya beda? What's the reason for it?
Convert RPM and torque.
Ya, kalau kecil ke gede, artinya apa yang di-increase?
Torsinya lebih gede.
Torsinya lebih gede di sini kan ya?
Ya, di output ya.
Ini sama seperti naik sepeda kan? Kalau gear depan kamu pilih yang kecil, gear belakang atau sprocket belakang kamu pilih yang besar, jadinya enteng. Kenapa? Karena torque kamu dimultiply. You multiply the torque from your legs to the wheels. Gitu kan? So when you have big sprocket at the front and small sprocket in the back, yeah, chain or belt that goes around it, you reduce your torque, right? But you gain your speed. Berasanya berat. Kenapa berasanya berat? Karena kamu harus exert a lot of torque, because by the time you get here, your torque is maybe in 0.3, right? Kalau rasionya 1:3, radiusnya ya di sini sepertiganya, makanya kamu kayuhnya jadi berat. Ngerti ya? Jadi kalau di sini misalnya 3 kali lipatnya, kan artinya pedal kamu kan di sini. Pedal kamu kan di depan. What you feel is light because it is being multiplied to the back. When you are going high speed, you feel it's heavy because by the time it gets to the back, it's sacrifice, right? Dikurangi kan. Nah, tentu aja kita berasanya yang natural pasti langsung torque. Tapi sebenarnya dari speed juga kamu bisa berasa. Waktu kamu settingnya yang kecil di depan, besar di belakang, what do you feel about your speed?
Enteng, Pak.
Itu torque-nya enteng. Speed-nya gimana?
Speednya pelan.
Di depan kaki kamu pelan atau cepat?
Cepat, Pak.
Cepat.
Kencang, Pak.
Tapi di belakang pelan, gitu kan? So what is happening? You're sacrificing speed, right? Rotational speed for the sake of torque. Now the opposite for the situation with the big sprocket on the front. By the way, kalau saya bilang sprocket, tahu ya, sprocket adalah the pulley for chain. Ya kan, bentuknya gini kan.
Buat rantai, Pak, buat rantai.
Betul, buat rantai. Beda sama gear ya. It's called sprocket. Nanti kita bakal belajar. Tapi seperti biasa, saya mau kalian terbiasa memakai terminologi yang benar. It's called sprocket, not gear, not pulley. Pulley itu polos buat belt. Gear is gear. Ya, kita bakal belajar. Shape-nya itu beda. Ujungnya ini shape-nya beda, by the way ya. Oke, back to the bicycle. Kalau kamu pakai sprocket yang besar di depan, yang belakang kecil, kaki kamu geraknya seperti apa? Pelan, cepat? What do you feel about the speed?
Could you repeat, Pak?
Gimana?
Could you repeat the question?
What do you feel about the speed between when your front sprocket is big and your rear sprocket is small?
Berat, Pak, berat.
Berat, Pak.
tapi
Berat, Pak. Iya, tapi
kencang.
kencang geraknya.
Lebih kencang. Kaki kamu kencang nggak?
Pelan, Pak. Kita berat.
Kakinya pelan. Tapi di belakangnya rodanya kencang. Sepeda kamu jadi kencang. So again, on this situation on the bottom, right? We want speed, we sacrifice torque. Here, we want torque, we sacrifice speed. And you can actually do the physics on this, right? Assume this is a belt, right? So you have a torque T. This is going to pull on the belt, right? So the belt is pulled. Jadi kalau ini sambungannya ya. The belt is pulled by a force F, right? So the action reaction here, the tension on the belt, I'm gonna call this T with a, capital T lah. Capital T is fine. Yeah. So force is torque divided by radius, ya kan? Atau torque is equal to F times radius. This is R2. Jadi the torque here, P2, adalah F times R2, right? The F is the same because it's the same belt. So if I solve for F equals T1 divided by R1, so T2 is equal to, actually I need to move my picture all to the left to make, okay, sorry, I don't want to erase this. Okay, so I put in this F, right? And so I have T1 R1 times R2. So T2 is T1 multiplied by the ratio R2 divided by R1. So the ratio between the radius here, the radius of the sprocket in the front, the driving sprocket, and the driven sprocket is what determines your torque ratio. So if the radius here in the back is twice the radius in the front, then the torque is twice. Quite simple, huh? Very nice. Actually, it is also proportional to the number of teeth. That's right. You can count the number of teeth on your sprocket, and that will also be the ratio. Yeah. So N2 divided by N1. We'll get more into this. But you see the ratio is proportional to the radius. Okay, I might ask you to show this in an exam, right? You are responsible to know, why is it that the big sprocket in the back gives you more torque or gives you more speed, okay? Kalau speed kan kebalik. Speed, the linear velocity here on the belt or on the chain, V equals omega R, right? So here, omega 2, R2, right? So V equals omega 2, R2. V is the same. So omega 2 is going to be V divided by R2. And my V is omega 1, R1, right? It's the same speed, same chain, divided by R2. So omega 1 is multiplied by R1 divided by R2. So you see the torque and the speed has the reverse or inverse or reciprocal, whatever you call it, right? The ratio is the opposite. Any question on this? Okay, this is true for gears, belts, and sprockets, and chain. So we actually have these three different things, right? Got gears, belts, and chain. Now, gears are typically used in cars. The capacity is high, right? Power transmission capacity is high. Chain are also high, and as you will see, because they are linked by these plates, right? These are metal plates linked together. Gears are also solid teeth, right? Now belts are rubber, even though they do have steel in it, but the steel is just to reinforce. Is pretty thin, right? It needs to be flexible, obviously. So the power transmission capacity is medium. Gears and chains are high. I'm trying to do something to my video here. Okay. Now I save space on my screen. The noise, gears are low noise, assuming it's properly assembled, obviously. Belts are low noise because they are pretty smooth transition into the pulley. They're also relatively flexible, so I mean they are tolerant to inaccuracies in the center distance. Chain, however, are medium because you got all these bushings, a lot of different parts assembled together, and they just make noise. They rattle. Okay. So low noise for gears and belts. Life with proper maintenance. Gears, if it's properly assembled, tooth are good shape, proper shape, well lubricated, infinite life pretty much. I mean, my engine will die sooner than my transmission for sure if it's manual. If it's automatic, that's a bit more challenging. They tend to be a bit more complex. Not the gears though. The failure part in an automatic transmission are not typically the gears. They're typically the torque converters or the valves, the hydraulic valves that do the shifting, but not the gears actually. So I mean, we can say that both manual and automatic transmission gears, the gear component, they are infinite life, amazingly, right? If you do a proper oil change, including transmission oil change, yeah, hold on. So belts are a finite life. They are medium to long life. You need to keep the tension on them. They are finite though. You cannot have infinite life with belts. They will break at one point. Chain, they don't break that easily, but you will have slack in the chain. Maintenance is crucial with chain. They have a very long life if you lubricate them well. I mean, your bicycle, for example, even the old bicycle, the chain might rust, but they do survive, right? I mean, even your old bicycles. Okay, my internet is unstable here, it says. You guys just interrupt me if you feel some lag from me, okay? Chain are finite again. They stretch, they got other issues, but mechanically they survive a pretty long life. Speed ratio for gears, very precise, no slippage. Okay, you cannot slip in gears. I mean, if you slip, then the whole thing fails already. Belts, they do slip, so it's not precise. They do slip. They rely on friction. Chain, there will be slight speed ratio variation. I will explain to you why that is. It's predictable. It's not that bad at all. I mean, look, feel your bicycle. You feel that the speed ratio is pretty constant, right? You cannot feel it. It is slight. I mean, single digit percentage kind of slight. Maintenance, gears low to medium. Usually gears are encased, right, in a gearbox. That's why we call it box, gearbox. Usually there is some casing. It's immersed in oil. They churn the oil all the time. And then you gotta change the oil from time to time. Belts are low maintenance. You do need to replace them, but you do not need to lubricate anything, really, right? You don't want to lubricate belts. They want the friction. Chain are high maintenance. If you don't lubricate your chain, you'll stretch. It will have quite a bit of friction. You can do drip oil. You can immerse it in oil. Complexity, gears are pretty high. You gotta have an accurate center to center distance. Yeah, the way your gear mesh. The center to center distance when you do your assembly gotta be accurate. Otherwise, it doesn't mesh well. Belts, they're low expectation. These belts, you know, the center distance can be slightly in and out. You'll be fine. I mean, these things will just kind of blubber there, but it's fine. That's a cool stuff about belts, right? I mean, they are very tolerant, very patient on you, right? Chain, yeah, medium. It cannot be that out of tolerance, but yeah, you'll be okay, right? It will still work. So that's kind of the overview between gears, belt, and chain. Again, to manipulate torque and RPM, you have pretty much these three options. Trying to think if there is another
timing belt
option.
gimana, Pak?
Timing belt. Timing belt is a belt. The difference is that they got this little tooth to prevent you from slipping. While the regular belt, it's polos. Jadi,
Tapi kalau dari akurasi timing belt itu katanya paling tinggi ya, Pak ya? Karena dia backlash-nya juga hampir 0 juga begitu, atau gimana, Pak?
paling tinggi dibandingkan dengan
Yang lain ya, Pak. Soalnya kan kebanyakan mesin-mesin yang kecil itu pakai timing belt, Pak. Kayak 3D printer atau CNC, Pak.
yeah. One thing I don't have this on my chart. One reason you want to use belt instead of gear is that your distance from one pulley to another is long. I mean, if the first pulley to the end pulley distance is 1 meter, you are not going to have gears yang gedenya setengah meter kan. I mean, that's just ridiculous, right? Jadi, the reason you use belt is this long center distance. But if you want accuracy and you are forced to use belt, then you do a timing belt. Ngerti ya? Jadi timing belt itu superior compared to regular belt. But
tapi dibanding gear masih bawah ya, Pak?
Masih kalah. Masih kalah sama gear. Properly assembled, gear is the most accurate power transmission.
Oh, berarti kalau backlash-nya gimana, Pak? Bukannya gear itu ada backlash juga lumayan katanya, Pak? Atau kalau ada proper bisa itu?
Not if it's properly assembled. Very little. Very little.
Jadi memang timing belt dipakai karena memang lebih mudah aja dipakainya gitu, Pak?
Lebih mudah, lebih murah. Yeah, I didn't put a cost here. Gears are also more costly. Belt is cheaper. Chain is probably medium. Tapi sekali lagi, think of a 3D printer. Coba ya, saya ini insert another empty slide. Kalau dilihat dari atas ya, kan ini kepalanya 3D printer. Then you got the X motion, and then you got the Y motion, right? This is the X, this is the Y. Nah, kalau kamu mau menggerakkan dia dari sini ke sana, dan kamu mau pakai gear, one option is to use rack and pinion. Saya suka rada males kalau gambar. Okay, this is a rack and pinion. Ini muter, ini bergeser. That's one way. The other way is to use a belt, right? Jadi kita gantung aja kepalanya ini di belt, di sini pulinya, ya kan? Kayak tadi saya gambar.
Iya, Pak.
Gini, kita gantung barangnya di sini. Jadi again you have conversion from rotation to translation. Tapi kan kalau kita pakai belt biasa dia slip. Nah, the reason you don't want to use rack and pinion, bayangin kalau ininya kamu gantung di sini, waktu dia rotate ini nongol dong ke sini, ya kan? It's gonna be awkward.
Yes.
So again, there are other reasons why you choose one or the other, and here is one good example. You use belt. It's just impractical to use gears with this. Another one, you can do a ball screw. I think quite a few also do a ball screw.
Lead screw,
right? Yeah, lead screw, betul. Nah, ya ball screw, lead screw. Jadi ini kamu putar, dia bergerak kiri kanan kan. This is a power screw mechanism. We will learn about it 5-6 weeks from now. We'll get to it.
Okay, Pak.
Yeah, so when you want to manipulate Ya sebenarnya kalau tujuannya di sini sih di 3D printer ini tujuannya converting rotation to translation, but not so much trying to gain or lose on the torque and RPM. Here, gears, belt, and chain, when I say power transmission, yeah. When I say power transmission, meaning we are trying to transmit power, right? Transmission. We're trying to transmit power, meaning power is a combination of, what is the formula for power?
And
Instantaneous power is force times
velocity.
ayo force times
Oh, ya, Pak. Velocity.
on
Kalau nggak,
velocity
torque kali omega.
atau torque times omega, correct? Angular atau linear. Jadi power is actually a inside power is force and velocity. And so when we say we want to transmit power, we are transmitting both force and velocity. Ya kan? Kalau di sini belt and pulley, you got angular, torque times omega, power di sini. Waktu dia nyampe ke belt, dia jadi force times velocity. Waktu dia balik ke sini, torque times omega lagi kan? So, I mean, we are transmitting power, mechanical power. Just like electrical power is volts, right? Voltage times, come on. You can do this. Current. In power, in electrical power is a combination of voltage and current. You can manipulate them, right? Using transformers, you can do, okay, higher voltage, lower current, higher current, lower voltage. Same in mechanical. You manipulate between torque and RPM, force and velocity. But the power is the same. And ideally, we want as minimal power loss as possible, obviously, right? And gears, most efficient. Your questions kind of triggered me to add some more rows to my comparison. Okay, so tadi yang kita belum discuss, cost, right? Gear probably high, belt very low cost, very low, amazingly low. Chain maybe medium, still low, but medium, low to medium maybe. Yeah. Tadi apalagi yang kita discuss? Oh, center to center distance. Center to center distance. Gear, they're usually very close. Ya kan? Very compact. Bahkan biasanya masuk sini kadang keluarnya coaxial gitu. Jadi it's not meant for transmitting long distance. So belt can be long distance. Chain is also long distance. Ya, nggak harus. Tapi, in fact, if you get too close, it becomes a problem, right? Bayangin kalau beltnya begini nih. Apa yang terjadi? Kontaknya berkurang di sini. Contact between the belt and the pulley semakin sedikit. Okay, so but kelebihannya justru dia bisa long distance. Tadi saya lagi mau ngomong apa ya? Power transmission. Okay, so efficiency. So the efficiency, gear are very efficient. I want to put numbers here, but I might not be up to date because, I mean, technologies do improve, But here, I can safely say here we are in the 90% range. Okay, properly designed. Belts are maybe a medium. This is probably medium to high. Okay, the friction loss in belt. Nah, ini saya bilang high aja lah ya. Okay. So high, medium, medium high on chain. Okay, so we want to transmit power, obviously minimize power loss, and we do want to manipulate between torque and omega. And any questions so far before I continue on car transmissions? Okay. Now let's talk about car transmissions, one obvious application for it. Okay, I'm gonna...
Ya Pak, kalau continuous variable transmission tuh sistemnya bagaimana Pak?
Can you speak louder?
Kalau CVT Pak?
Oh, CVT. CVT is yet another transmission type, but it's basically a belt. Most CVT is belt. It's a different type of belt than the rubber belt you see most cases, but it's a belt. I have some CVT videos. I'll show it to you when we get to belts. CVT itu kelebihannya dia very smooth. Jadi gini, kalau rasionya misalnya manual itu kan ada rasio gigi 1, 2, 3, 4 gitu kan ya. Kalau otomatis juga ada rasionya, hanya saja shiftingnya otomatis, right? Tapi rasionya tetap ada. Let's say the most common is 4 gears ya. Gigi 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like a stair step gitu kan. Jadi udah kayak tangga ya. Saya gambar. Kalau oh kayaknya saya ada deh slide-nya di week 1. Saya pakai ini. Jadi kalau bayangin kayak gitu ya. Ini it's not a chart ya. Bayangin tangga lah. Rasionya segini, 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 segini. Kalau CVT is like a ramp. Gitu. It's continuous. Continuously variable transmission, CVT. Does that answer your question for now at least?
Maksudnya kalau yang apa namanya, yang automatic sama yang manual itu, kalau manual itu dia ngejot saat ganti gigi, sedangkan kalau yang automatic itu dia mulus terus gitu ya walaupun ganti gigi ya Pak?
Yeah, I don't agree with that 100%. What automatic
videonya barusan saya lihat gitu.
What automatic transmission does, yeah. It's basically the shifting. The shifting is made. The shifting is made automatic. Jadi this is auto shifting. Is what automatic is. Jadi shiftingnya itu pakai hydraulics. The hydraulics basically engage these clutches, all those clutches, ya itu ditekan pakai hydraulic mechanism, pakai hydraulic pressure. Makanya in the automatic transmission there is a pump, there is an oil pump, not for your engine, but for the transmission itself. So there is an oil pump inside the automatic transmission, and it will use that pressure to do the clutch pack shiftings. In manual, the shifting is manual, right?
Iya, dia gantinya kan pakai itu.
Betul. Tapi masing-masing itu rasionya tetap lompat. Makanya kamu ada kedutan itu ya, itu karena engine RPM-nya. Jadi misalnya gini. Misalnya 3000 RPM. Your engine is rotating at 3000 RPM. Lalu berdasarkan rasio ini converted to let's say 1000 RPM. Misalnya ya, I'm just making numbers. Di gigi 1. Nah, waktu kamu masuk gigi 2, 3000 RPM itu akan create misalnya ya 1500 RPM on the wheels. This is your engine.
Oh, jadi 3000 outputnya, yang 1500 itu outputnya gitu.
Jadi kalau let's say ya, ini for simplicity sake, gear 1 di gear 1 3000 RPM itu hasilnya 1000 RPM. Di gear 2 hasilnya lebih tinggi dong. Ya kan lebih cepat, remember?
Ya.
You gain speed. So for the same engine speed, you will gain a faster speed. Jadi waktu kamu jalan 3000 RPM, misalnya 1000 RPM ini let's say equivalent to let's say 30 km per jam lah ya. Waktu masuk gigi 2, kan 3000 RPM ini harusnya menghasilkan 45 km per jam. Tapi kan nggak mungkin dong, kamu waktu kamu mau pergi gigi 2, tiba-tiba kamu jeger naik. Jadi yang terjadi adalah, bukan kamu itu menjadi 1500. Tapi sebenarnya wheels kamu kan tetap di 1000, engine kamu turun jadi 2300 gitu. Waktu kamu masuk gigi 2. Jadi engine-nya yang jeglek, dia tiba-tiba kena beban. Kan nggak mungkin dong kamu lompat, kamu masuk gear 2 tiba-tiba udah kayak nitro aja tiba-tiba jadi 45. Enggak dong. Kan rodanya tetap melekat di aspal kan. It's not going to instantly change. But your engine is the one that got burden, and then boom, dia langsung turun ke 2300. And then you press the gas pedal again, and then you'll be back to 3000 on gear 2, on the second gear, which then accelerates yourself to 45 gitu. Jadi mekanismenya seperti itu. Nah, jadi at all times at a specific gear the ratio is constant gitu. Jadi kalau gear 1, once your clutch is attached, jadi jangan slipping ya. Kalau lagi main kopling, ya memang engine-nya sama wheels-nya kan independen kalau kamu lagi injek kopling. Tapi kalau kopling udah dilepas, artinya udah nempel nih engine sama wheel, rasionya itu fix. Kalau rasionya nggak fix, artinya kopling kamu udah habis. Ya, jadi manual sama auto itu sebenarnya perbedaannya itu di shiftingnya, tapi rasionya tetap seperti tangga gini. Kalau kamu nggak mau tangga, itu namanya CVT. Kelemahannya CVT, however, it's less efficient. Jadi power loss-nya lebih besar. But it's gotten better and better. Reliability-nya juga sedikit lebih rendah daripada manual dan auto. Jadi manual itu udah paling reliable, ya. Jadi reliability, manual itu basically paling reliable, auto maybe good enough, and then CVT is less. But it's gotten better. My Jazz has a CVT, but it's an older version. It's probably the first time Honda came out with CVTs on my Jazz generation GD3 ya, tahun 2005 kan. So it's probably a bad move. My CVT broke 5 years ago. Jadi probably 10-year-old. About after 10 years, your CVT probably need to be rebuilt, or you probably need to swap it to a working but old CVT dari Singapura. Kadang mereka ambil gelondongan diganti gitu. Aromatics, yeah, usually after 10 years there's some issues. Manual, they just run forever, man. I mean, these guys are so simple and reliable. Paling clutch yang ganti, tapi bukan manual kan, bukan transmissionnya gitu. Kadang-kadang sinkronnya mesti ganti. We'll get to that. Any other question on transmissions in general?
Pak, mau nanya juga Pak, kan ada mitos tuh katanya manual istilahnya bisa lebih cepat daripada matic, mobil manual pada umumnya, atau manual bisa lebih irit daripada matic. Itu gimana Pak?
Kalau manual lebih irit, let's get back to the video. I think it talk about it a little bit. Ya, jadi the reason automatic itu memang lebih boros adalah karena ada torque converter. Okay, let me try to get back. Where is it? Menit berapa ya? Jadi dia bukan pakai clutch. Dia pakai yang namanya torque converter. Why is it gone? Torque converter ini generate heat. Nah, oke. Ini yang gambar bronze, ya, yang warna emas ini. It's called a torque converter. A torque converter is acting like a clutch. Tapi bedanya dia pakai fluid. So, a torque converter itu ini nggak dari samping. Ya udah. Jadi a torque converter itu ada pumpnya, ada turbinnya. Okay? So this is the pump, this is the turbine. So this is like putting kipas angin, niup kipas angin satunya lagi. Ya, bayangin kamu ada 2 kipas angin. Kamu hadap-hadapin, kipas anginnya hadap-hadapan. Yang sebelah kiri kamu nyalain. Dia akan niup yang sebelah kanan kan? Dan blade-nya akan berputar kan? And that's exactly how torque converter works. But it's not using air, it's using hydraulic fluid. Oil, basically. Minyak. Jadi dia pompa sehingga yang kanan ikut muter. That's how it transmit the power from your engine to the transmission. So you can imagine transmitting over fluid is less efficient compared to a mechanical joint together, no slippage contact. Itu sebabnya automatic itu less efficient. Tapi kalau cepat atau pelan itu, it depends on a lot of things, right? The more gear, the more jadi gini, the reason you have all these ratios adalah your engine RPM is only optimal at a certain range, right? Kalau kamu lihat power curve, ini bisa nggak sih saya kasih papan tulis aja? Nggak bisa. Kalau kamu lihat power curve dari engine, it's only optimal. It's only optimal over a certain range, ya. Jadi di range ini dia mantep, tapi di bawah jelek. Nanti ada satu titik juga di mana dia drop. So you wanna maintain your engine RPM on this range. And in order to do that, you have these gear ratios. Jadi kamu ngegas, ya kan? Jadi kamu ngegas dari sini ke sini. Lalu oper gigi kan? RPM-nya turun dong. Turun, gas lagi, turun, gas lagi, turun, gas lagi. So the reason you have these gear ratios adalah untuk maintain operating range di mana you produce the most power and torque. Depending on that ratio and your engine RPM range, how close you keep it there, that's how fast you will accelerate. Jadi I don't think it's that simple. It depends on your shifting speed. Waktu kamu drive manual, seberapa jago oper giginya kan? Di titik mana dia oper giginya? So it's not a simple comparison. Any other question? Ini kalau ngomong mobil nggak ada habisnya. What did I want to do? I want to talk about manual transmission further. Okay, let's do this video. My screen on the YouTube video, yeah. So what I want to talk about is the shifting mechanism, because that's the part that is most complicated on this. But before I get there, any question other than the shifting mechanism? Any other question on the video? I think they are very clear. So I just want to focus on the shifting mechanism. Who has a question? Okay, so the shifting mechanism. Now, you need to have this constant mesh where the gears are never out of sync. I'm sorry. The gears are never not connected. Their gears are always connected. That's an easier way to say it, okay? So the gear pairs are always connected, but they do not always transmit power. You see the output shaft here, okay? The output shaft is not always connected to the output gears, okay? So there is some clearance. In fact, they actually float, okay? They actually float, and you will connect them. This red hypothetical connector is going to be explained in more detail as the synchro assembly, okay? But whenever this is connected, then that's the gear that we are currently engaging on, okay? So you can, the way you shift is not getting the gears out of pair, but engaging the different connectors. So that's how you shift, okay? Now here is the synchro assembly. I'm trying to find one with the colors, okay. So the red gear here, okay, the red gear is the one that is trying to be connected to the shaft, okay? The green is the shaft, and the red is the floating, I'm sorry, the green color is the one that is connected to the output, yeah? This gear is about to be connected to the green shaft. And the way we do that is by having this hub slide in and they turn together, okay? Once this gray sleeve slides into the, it slides into the gear, the red gear, then they turn together. But in the process of doing so, here's the problem. They do not rotate at the same RPM. Remember my analogy, 3,000, 1,000, okay, let's say 3,000 at the engine, 1,000 at the wheel. And then once you shift to second gear, with the ratio of the second gear, the wheel is supposed to turn 1,500, right? So there is a 500 RPM difference here going on. You cannot just slide this guy in. What do you have to do? You have to match their RPM. You have to match the RPM from the red gear here to the green shaft. And the way you do that is using a synchro. Okay, so here, okay, different speeds. Here's a synchro, the gold colored piece. This synchro is going to be the intermediary connector. It's going to have some surface that is soft enough that it's going to start to break the 1500 RPM rotation. I'm trying to find my annotation. Okay, so my pen is not working. Okay, I think I might be out of battery in this. Okay, I'll just use my mouse, yeah? So this guy is 1,500 and this guy is 1,000. Okay, we need to connect them together. This gold piece, okay, is called the synchro. The synchro is going to be pushed by this gray sleeve, and because you push them, now you are going to match, trying to match the 2 RPM. Okay, so watch closely. When it push, the gold synchronizer ring, it's gonna match the 1,000 RPM and the 1,500 RPM. They probably meet somewhere in the middle, depending on their inertia. But once their RPM is the same, then you see it's going to lock into the red gear. Okay, so that's how the synchronizer ring works. It is an in-between so that the RPM starts to match before you go in all the way. Any question on the synchronizer ring? All good? That's easy, huh? Okay. If you do have a worn out parts on the transmission, on the manual transmission, it's usually this synchro, okay? This gold piece that is worn out. This gold piece might need to be replaced. But again, this depends on your usage. If your usage is always proper, meaning you always press the clutch before you shift, the synchronizer ring doesn't work that hard. But if you just shift without pressing the clutch, then you have all the engine load still going on. The wheel is still connected to the asphalt, and now you're slamming the two together and expecting the synchronizer ring to act as a clutch. Okay, that's when you damage your, not damage, but you're gonna wear out the synchronizer ring. Is when you shift without pressing the clutch. So if you ever tried that, it works, okay? You don't have to press the clutch, but yeah, you're gonna hear some grinding, pretty nasty, okay? But it does work. Your synchronizer ring actually is, you're asking it to work as a clutch. Not a good idea. That's why you have the clutch. You disconnect the engine load from the wheel and you match the RPM And when everything's good, you connect them again by releasing the clutch. That's how they sync the speed. That's why it's called the synchronizer ring, right? You sync the two. And so you have these synchros in each of the gear, okay? You have a synchro here. Oops. Okay, you have a synchro here, a synchro here, here, and here. Every time you have a gear pair that you want to connect to the shaft, you have a synchro. That's pretty much the only worn out parts on a manual transmission. Believe it or not, the gears will be there forever, assuming proper lubrication. Okay, so this is actually the shift. Your shifter is a rod, a long rod connected to these sleeves, and it push in and out. An exception here is the reverse gear. You have, where is it? Okay, an extra gear, okay? They usually use a straight spur gear instead of a helical gear. This is called a helical gear because you see it's actually slanted, okay? It's not straight, okay? It's not straight like this, it's at an angle. So it's called a helical gear. Yeah. What else do I want to highlight here? That's it for manual transmission. The automatic transmission, because it involves planetary gear sets, we will discuss that on when we get to gears, okay? I guess that is it for manual transmission. You're responsible to know this for the quiz when we have a quiz. This video, it turns out at the beginning of this second video, he explains the ratios, which is nice. And he explains a lot about clutch, which we will get to. But cannot zoom in here, but you see that there is this little synchros, okay? See the tapered roller bearing here? Okay, remember each shaft has to be supported on bearings. There is a tapered roller bearing. I'm sure there is one here too, and one sitting in the housing, okay? But they support this shaft, and there are two bearings supporting this output shaft. Okay. The difference between this and the other diagram, this one, the engine directly turns the input shaft, and this is the output shaft. Ya, kalau yang tadi kan ini input shaft, it goes into an intermediary shaft, and then there is the output shaft. It's just two different arrangements. It's not that important. Sometimes you do this so you can connect the input to the output directly, achieving a 1-to-1 ratio. Okay. If there is no more question, I think that should be it for today's session. We end a bit early here. Any questions? Everybody's hungry?
Pak, sebenarnya dong Pak.
Ya.
Tadi yang sinkro itu yang pas shifting sinkronya itu dia nyesuaiin yang gear selanjutnya atau gear sebelumnya Pak? Atau sinkronya Pak? Sinkronya itu gigi sebelumnya yang adaptasi sama yang gigi selanjutnya atau gimana Pak? Tapi kan pasti sinkronnya nempel Pak sama gigi selanjutnya.
Coba diulang lagi, it's a bit mumbling your sound.
Kan kalau mau shifting kan itu harus ada sinkronnya kan Pak?
Ya.
Itu yang nyesuaiin gigi sebelumnya atau gigi next-nya gitu Pak?
Yang menyesuaikan.
Iya.
Siapa yang slow down, siapa yang speed up.
Iya.
Gitu maksudnya ya.
Iya.
Well, it depends, right? If you're shifting up, your wheel RPM is going to be slower than the gear RPM, right? Misalnya tadi di first gear, tadi di first gear, your wheel is 100. Ya tentu aja waktu di first gear, sebelum kamu shifting ke second gear, the first gear is also 1000 dong, ya kan? 1000 and 1000 no problem. Tapi waktu kamu mau shift ke ini gimana sih Iris? Tapi waktu kamu mau shift ke second gear ini sedang rotate di 1500. Ya kan? Jadi ini situation ya, kalau misalnya kamu mau shift upshift, right? Jadi waktu di connect 1000 most likely because it's lighter than the wheel, right? The wheel kan connected to the ground, it's very heavy. Jadi pasti gearnya yang adjust. Waktu kamu lepas clutch-nya, engine kamu harus adjust dengan gear ini yang sudah jadi 1000. Makanya engine RPM kamu turun. Does that explain?
Iya, Pak.
Ya. Jadi synchronizer ini bakal ngerem gearnya second gear. Dia bakal slow down the second gear from 1500 to 1000. 1500 pun juga mungkin dia sudah slowing down karena waktu kamu pencet clutch, the gear itself is already floating by now, right? It's just rotating at the previous speed of 1500. Tapi sebenarnya dia pun udah ngambang. Begitu kamu pencet coupling, engine udah detach. Jadi engine RPM sudah irrelevant. Mereka hanya spinning in air aja, well in oil gitu. So it's kind of slowing down already. And then you connect, then it's ini. Makanya kalau sinkronnya udah jelek, ya kadang kalau sinkro udah jelek, waktu kamu shift cepet-cepet, itu susah masuknya. Tapi kalau kamu injek kopling, lalu shiftnya pelan-pelan, dia bisa masuk. Karena gearsnya sudah slowing down. Jadi ini the situation kalau sinkronya udah mulai jelek ya. Kalau sinkronya udah mulai jelek, kamu cepet-cepet susah, tapi kalau pelan-pelan bisa. Gitu. Karena you give some time after you press the clutch. Kalau kamu downshift, ini kebalikan. Jadi ininya mungkin lagi 2000, ininya 1500. Kalau kamu downshift, turun gigi. Lalu kamu connect, dia naik jadi 2000. Waktu kamu lepas clutch, engine RPM-nya malah naik, bukan turun kan? Kalau kamu turun gigi. Gitu. Okay, any other question? Udah lapar semua. Nasi Padang saya juga udah sampai. Jadi Oke, ya udah, itu dulu. No homework for this lecture. Yeah, you can clap your hands. Terus we will continue on gears next, after gear belts. Next week itu kan sebenarnya katanya minggu apa namanya? Minggu break ya. Tapi you know, you guys have nothing to do after all, right? Even pacaran aja mesti lewat Zoom kan. Jadi kita lanjut aja. So most likely I will schedule a session. Mendingan kita lebih cepat dibanding lebih lama. Besides, I think we missed week 1, right? So you can consider next week as the makeup for week 1 because we're a bit behind. Okay, that's it for now. Thank you for your attention. Kita absen terakhir ya sebelum bubar. Siapa yang masih ada, raise your hand.